Catherine, when you decided to come out in the media, you and your dad both talked about it as, wanting to preempt a gotcha news story, which I totally understand. You were going off to college, and that's a calculation that, the average gay person doesn't really have to make. And also, Sarah, when you got married, your wedding was like a news story in the Boston Globe. And I'm just wondering, for each of you, what has it been like, being on the political stage and having your lives, mundane things to many of us be news? Yeah.
I am lucky enough that I have kind of, since the beginning, always been that other daughter, that one that exists somewhere else in the world. Because I haven't lived in Boston for kind of almost any of the time that my dad has been kind of really running for office, which is usually the kind of moments that you're most concerned about, the public eye. So it has been surprising, especially surprising for me, because I am so out of the spotlight so much of the time in those moments where you have to make note of things. But at the same time, this is our life, and and we are, I think we, but are very proud of the work that my dad and the rest of our family is doing. And if the only thing that I have to do is kind of announce my wedding in the paper, then that's okay. But yeah, it is a bit different to have to think about how you kind of make note of changes or things that have happened in your life, from having kind of a political side to our family and to our family experience.
I think it's sort of bittersweet. I mean, our parents have done a really great job about keeping us out of the spotlight. They've never really made us kind of the story. I mean, the most that I've ever really been in it is when I worked on the campaign. And even then, kind of come in and then leave, which has been the best part. And I think the other side of it is that Sarah and I are no Bush twins. We're not that cool. So nobody really wants to know anything about us, which is really nice. But it's which that's the good side. The other side is it's definitely hard. I mean, it's definitely, you have to think once, twice, 10 times before you do anything, before you take any pictures or anything like that. I think it's calmed up. I think it's calmed down a little bit, just because people have realized how kind of normal we are, more or less. So people are not that interested in us, which is kind of nice. But yes, Sarah has been the one that's been out of the state, so I've been the one in it most of the time, which is really nice that she's home, because now people want to talk to her and not me. It's really great. It's really great.
I do have to say, I mean, I did spend a lot of time covering political issues and interviewing a lot of political people. You're definitely the most, normal, down-to-earth political people I've ever met. And when your dad launched his campaign, he was a complete unknown, and he didn't have any political office-holding experience before that. And now that I'm thinking about the comment you said earlier about him being a little odd, I mean, what was your reaction when he came home and said, "Hey, I'm running for governor"? Did you guys see that coming, and what was your response? Because you were both teenagers, so, I mean, I might have moved out, and I might have.
So this is how I remember it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but we were on vacation in Costa Rica, right? And Dad had been out. I always tell this story, so forgive me if you've heard it already. But he was out, sun tanning all day, and hanging out by the beach. And he came in and said, "Okay, family, I have something to tell you." Much like myself. Was that dinner? Okay. He said, "I think I'm going to run for governor," and I thought, "You've had too much sun. You need to take a nap. We need to get rehydrated. I don't know what we're talking about. You need to reevaluate this." And I just thought he was kind of joking. I was, how old was I? 15 or something like that. So I don't think I really realized what that meant, and what that meant as him kind of asking us if we're okay with this. Because I was in high school in Delaware, so it didn't really touch me there. And Sarah was, at this point, were you in NYU? You were at home. So I just thought, all right, well, have your pet project. You're not going to get elected. Whatever. He was an unknown. I no way that this would happen. And then I remember coming home for a rally that happened in Quincy Market, I think. And he got up and spoke, and it was like the wall shook, and I was like, oh my God, this is real, like this is actually happening. And I will say, still after like, what has it been, 6 years? I'm still kind of shocked that this is still really happening. But it's a very surreal experience. You never grow up thinking, my dad's not a politician, so we were never kind of bred for this kind of life. So it's still a little bizarre for me.
Like Katherine said, my dad has a habit at dinner of kind of making these statements that you think, that make you think, right? So he'll say like, I'm thinking of moving the house. Or I'm thinking of, I need a project, I'm gonna move something. So it's like, so these things come out and you go, all right, tell me a little bit more, I wanna hear it. And sometimes they come to fruition and sometimes they don't. And he kind of moves on to something else. So this kind of came out in a similar way. He's like, I'm thinking of running for governor. We're all like, it's dinner. But at the same time, what I love of my dad is that when he says something, sometimes you go, yeah, and then you go, yeah, that makes sense, and then the more we talked about it, the more I thought it made a lot of sense. I mean, my dad has always come at this from a perspective of really wanting to help people, and I think you can see in all of his kind of career trajectory, it has always been in an effort to change things for the better. And so this made sense for that. The more we thought about it, the more, and then like Katherine said, it's at those rallies where people turn out and they're like, well, this is my dad. And so, all these people come and he speaks, and it was amazing for me because he's not saying anything we haven't heard him say before. This is how we were raised. These are the words that have always come out of his mouth. And other people hear it, and other people get behind it. And that for me has been the most kind of amazing experience, because this is really him. This is just him. And there's been incredible support of that. So yes, that was again one of those kind of moments where you're like, whoa, like he can really do this. That I think for me kind of locked in from the dinner conversation.